Hi guys. Okay, good morning. I hope you're surviving. This is this is so crazy. So please, any questions that you have, email me immediately. Don't feel bad that you're emailing me. You don't have to say, Mrs. Sauer, I'm so sorry, but I have a question. I want to answer your questions. So please ask me a question as soon as you have it. I'm sitting by my computer all day waiting to answer your questions. So I wanted to put together just a little example of how I would start on this montage project. Um, so the first thing I did was finish reading the story. And I watched a little bit more of the movie last night. It's totally different than the short story. It's like entirely different. But I haven't watched any of the TV show that came out in 2015 with I want to say Megan Fox, but it's not Megan Fox. It's another Megan who's really pretty, but I haven't seen that. Anyways, I finished the story, and then I picked the scene that I think would benefit from a montage type editing. So particularly, I wanted to do when Anderton calls Paige from those crowded public streets in the beginning of book 6 or chapter 6 in the story. So flip there, take a look at it. I thought it had like a lot of opportunity for little details and setting shots that could really create some emotion. In that scene, and he's in a crowded place and there's a phone booth and there's this idea of surveillance. So I thought it would be good for that. So I chose my scene. And then I thought about what kind of montage I wanted to use. So I know I want to use tonal because I want to show that fear and paranoia of Anderton being on the run, and there's the surveillance and all the voices around him. And he kind of knows it's like this lost cause. So I want to really be able to show that. And then I decided rhythmic rather than metric because I don't really know that there's an artistic reason for all of my shots to be exactly the same length. I think it would just make more sense for it to kind of rhythmically pick one shot after the other, the way we saw in District 9 and What Happened to Monday. I'm going to come back to these types of montage at the end if I remember, but I just kind of started there to work my plan. And then I reread my passage to figure out exactly what kinds of content I wanted to find. So I was thinking different shots of crowded places. And if I'm really thinking about District 9 and What Happened to Monday, you know, they would give us like 2 or 3 shots of the same thing. Sometimes they were sped up, sometimes it was an extreme close-up, and then like a longer, distance shot. So I can use that for inspiration. I can do something like that. And then I was also thinking shots of some of the surveillance gear that would be in that society, some of their cameras, maybe there's guards walking around. So I started there, and I kind of knew I would have some other things that would have like hit me with inspiration as I started Googling different images. So this is one of the first ones that I found. I thought it would be a good establishing shot. I just Googled like public security cameras or public surveillance just to see what I would find. So my montage would kind of start outside to show the state of the society, and then I kind of found this shot that would be of what the camera is finding. And again, this is just like lucky shots that I found on Google Images or on like stock photos. And now ideally you can see that it's in like a Chinese language that I don't know what it is. But that's okay. We're just like using images that already exist. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I have this I had this outside shot. Oh, come on, little arrows. Huh? I'm having some technical difficulty. And we're back. I don't know what happened there, but I think I fixed it and I got the hair out of my mouth. So I found some other shots of crowded subway areas because I figure, how's he gonna get there? Maybe a subway. And it's got that kind of like grimy, dirty vibe that I kind of associated with the story. It kept talking about being war torn and that there were like scars of the war. So, I figured that kind of relates to a subway. At least that's kind of what I see. So I found a few kind of crowded shots of subways to really build this. And you'll notice like we really haven't seen Anderton yet, and that's okay. That's just kind of what I'm imagining for my montage. So we had our subway, we come to like a smaller subway, a close-up of another camera to emphasize that surveillance idea. And if you remember, like we got multiple shots of kind of the same thing to really build that emotion and build that setting for the story. So I've got a close-up, and maybe Anderton is this guy in the hat over here, but he's just like one in a crowd, hopefully fitting in. And I really tried to find pictures of like a sketchy guy in a crowd who was wearing a hoodie with his hood up, and I couldn't find anything. All I found was like a single guy in the darkness wearing a hoodie and holding a knife, and like that wasn't helpful. But I looked and I looked and I couldn't find what I wanted, so I just kind of had to work around it, unfortunately, but that's okay. You're not going to find everything that you want, and you just kind of have to take it in a different direction. So I've had, I think, 5 or 6 shots so far. Here's another one that is going to kind of build that idea of like the crowd, the surveillance, that he's in there somewhere. And then I've got this weird close-up of the phone that he's going to make the call on. And ideally, maybe this could be a short video of like this hand coming in to pick up the receiver and hearing that dial tone. Maybe a long dial tone could be a little bit creepy or build that sense of paranoia. So there's soldiers on the streets. Should have put my phone on silent. There's soldiers on the streets. He's made it to his destination, and here he is making the phone call. This is the best image that I could find for somebody talking on a phone booth to, or not to somebody, but somebody talking on a phone booth that wasn't outside. So this is working for me. It's kind of a weird close-up, so we feel kind of that sense of like impending surveillance. So overlaid over these images would be his phone call with Paige. We would hear their hushed voices, kind of the fear or the panic in their voices. Paige saying, well, you shouldn't have called, and him saying, I need to get in there, I need to get in there. And there's that kind of question of if they trust each other going back and forth. So as we go through these shots, that audio would be overlaid as he's wondering kind of what's going to happen and if he's going to be able to get into the police section. Boom, another crowded shot. We're going back. And then finally he ends his phone call. He's made his plan, and so the receiver is just left hanging. And then maybe if I could finish up with another shot of security guards or another shot of security camera to really give the feeling that he kind of just escaped from being caught, could end it on like a good note, if you know what I mean. So a few other things that I want to tell you as you're working. The first is that those shots of Colin Farrell came from an early 2000s movie called Phone Booth. It's a super ridiculous action thriller if you're looking for something to watch this weekend. The second is that I also thought of making it an intellectual montage by adding kind of a visual metaphor. I looked to see if I could find video clips of a spider like catching a fly in its web, because Anderton could kind of be like the fly, he's trying to escape, just like that example of Apocalypse Now where they were killing Kurtz and they were slaughtering the bull at the same time, and it created that intellectual montage. So I thought about the spider and the fly. But honestly, the clips were really long and they were kind of grosser than I wanted to do, so I didn't end up including it. But the goal of this was to give you an example of what this could possibly look like. So I don't want you to feel super overwhelmed. I just want you to start picking where you think your montage would fit and what images you see working there. Don't stress out about adding the video or the audio if that's going to be a really, really big deal for you. It's not good. I don't want you to stress about this the most. Honestly, this is an elective class. You know, it's not one of your cores, it's an elective. So if you're freaking out, if you don't know what to do, I hope this is helpful. Please leave any questions that you have. I don't know if I said this, but I was just working in PowerPoint. And by now we should all be familiar with PowerPoint, so I'm kind of taking that for granted here. Some of you have asked about using TikTok, and I know I said that was kind of an example, but I don't know how TikTok works or anything. So if you think that you can do something like this on TikTok, that's fine with me. You just have to be able to send it. And I don't want you to sacrifice like the content of the project to do it on TikTok. So if TikTok is going to be helpful, then you could use it. But if not, if it was a dumb suggestion, then just tell me it was dumb and it doesn't work that way. That's fine. So I never thought I would say this, but subscribe to my channel and leave your questions in the comment section below. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'm always here to help you.